Thank you, Eric, and good morning, everyone. I certainly will try to not make you late on your agenda this morning. But I thought it was fairly important for me to be with you this morning, simply because in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been some significant changes inside the SNIA. At the beginning of the SNIA back in 1997, we were really focused on the core technologies for storage networking, making sure that we had access to resources, we could manage those resources. But the overall business environment around this and the overall evolution of the market means that now we have to focus on a much bigger landscape. We often refer to this landscape with 3 major layers, the storage layer, the data layer, and the information layer. And now storage solution providers are asked to take care of all these 3 layers to a certain extent. Maybe not up to the ultimate information and knowledge management layers, but at least to be in a position to support those solutions. So what does it mean? Well, it means that we have to have some common understanding of what it takes to do this, what are the best practices, and what are the key technologies and methods that can be utilized in order to have a comprehensive solution for the IT users. Now, when we ask about to IT users what do they care about, they care about their information, the thing that clearly is at the heart of their business. So all sorts of information assurance considerations come to their plate, and we have to address those issues. And clearly security is part of this. And this is why it's been very important for the SNIA to start having security-focused activities inside the organization, not only to bridge the storage and the security communities, because that's obviously a very important first step, but it's also to understand where do we need to inject, security topics, security concerns, security best practices, security technologies, Again, focusing on those information assurance challenges. So this is why, with the 2 groups we have today in the organization, with the Security Technical Work Group and the Storage Security Industry Forum, we have an opportunity not only to try to define what it means, in terms of security strategy for the storage landscape, for the storage ecosystem, but also to try to make sure that all the participants in this ecosystem have the right knowledge at the right time, And I'm talking about, the solution developers, the technology developers, as well as the technology deployers, people, the IT users, It's very important that we have this whole value chain in place that understand what it takes to deal with security in a storage environment, and what are the key technologies and best practices to consider moving forward. So it's a very important set of activities that are happening inside the SNIA. And for those of you that have followed a little bit, some of the late announcement last year from the SNIA, we've changed our mission and vision to reflect those changes in the industry. We said that we really want to make sure that storage technology, solution, best practices are really here to empower business organization in their strategy to manage information, and that's really key. And security and information assurance is at the heart of all this. And like in any technology domain, you have all sorts of innovation. Some are more focused towards product and specific vendors' business. Some others are broader, and are trying to resolve industry-wide, challenges. Our objective in SNIA is to make sure that we can leverage all this in order to have a common set of best practices and technologies that everybody can leverage, so that IT users can deploy manageable solutions that can be clearly secured, managed to deliver the right level of value, for their business organization. But it shouldn't be to the detriment of their IT operations, to their business operation efficiencies. So this is the kind of balance that is always difficult when talking about management technologies. How much do you want to be in the middle? How much do you want to impact on what's going on from a IT operations perspective, if not from a business operations perspective. So, and I think this is why it's very important that inside the SNIA we have the opportunity to have storage experts and security experts to discuss about those challenges and to come up with some recommendation as to what needs to be addressed first in IT operations and in business operations to address those information assurance challenges, including the security ones. So I will stop here, but I'm very excited to have this kind of opportunity with the summit. As you've probably heard it and seen on the agenda, there are also some other opportunities for the SNIA to talk about these topics at conferences like Storage Networking World. But we will continue this activity because it's at the heart of what we do, and it's really key for the future success of the storage industry. So on those words, I'd like to thank you and wish you a great summit for the next 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent. And the next person is Gordon Arnold, and I'd like to have him make a few comments as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome you here. It's sort of this is where storage and security meet. This is our mission. This is our statement of direction. You know, I don't know whether you present to storage administrators like I do or storage analysts and they know nothing about security. I'll ask them whether they understand the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption, and I hardly get any recognition in the audience. At the same time, when I speak to security experts and I'll describe vulnerabilities in storage area networking that exist, they'll look at me and say, gee, you know, you should be talking to our storage guys. So we really have had two different worlds with very little intersection of expertise, and that's what we're trying to do with the summit, and that's what we're trying to do with the SSIF, is bring these together. It's a very important topic, you know, with all the news items that are the CEO or the CIO is understanding that there's a big problem here, and they don't know what to do about it. So we're intending this next year to really get more focused on end-user education and allowing the vendors to position their ways of mitigating the security threats for the end users so we get more adoption of security in storage. So again, welcome. I hope this is very useful for you, and I hope next year we have a much larger end-user community that's able to participate in these activities. So with that, again, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Gordon. So I have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker, and I'd like to make a couple of comments to sort of give you some background in why he's here and possibly what you can expect. There's been a standing, almost joke for those of us that have been involved with the summit and a lot of the SNIA tutorials about, I am not a lawyer. We get up and there's a general recognition that we could potentially, as professionals in this field, incur some liability, if you will. So we always sort of preface our comments, and you heard a couple of the speakers yesterday, in fact, do that, and we even, you know, some of us actually have a little looks like a certification, but if you look closely, it is, I am not a lawyer, is what it actually stands for. So with that background, there are typically, you know, off-hour conversations, and one of the smart aleck comments that were made a year ago was, gee, we should bring in a lawyer and talk about some of the legal issues. So that ran from you know, almost a joke to, hey, wait, there are a lot of legal issues that we need to deal with here. And eDiscovery was identified as a particular area of potential concern and an issue that could impact the storage ecosystems. So from that early seed, we were able to find Stephen Templer as somebody who was willing to engage a community like this. And now, having had an opportunity to speak with him several times, I think you'll have an understanding of why he's willing to engage a community like this. But Stephen is a practicing lawyer. He is actively involved in the eDiscovery space on both sides of the coin, defense and attack, if you will. And I think he has some very important insights into issues that, as we move forward, we need to factor into some of the things that we're looking at and the things that we're doing. And so I invite you to hear the words of wisdom from Mr. Templer.